Hello and welcome back to my channel. Jacob Payton here, and now we're talking about Out of the Ashes, the 1983 book by William Johnstone. And it says it's The Nightmare of War, A Dream of America Reborn. As you can see, my copy is in pretty terrible shape, but I only paid 25 cents for it, so I'm really not that upset. And it says, Ben Raines, contact us. The message has gone out on CB radio and up on billboards. The nation brought to its knees by nuclear holocaust begins to regroup and look for a strong leader. Ben Raines, a retired soldier and mercenary known throughout the world for his best-selling novels expounding an America far different than the one that exists, is one of the survivors and does not want to be put in charge of anyone or anything. As he travels across the country, searching for his friends, Ben discovers that his weapons and knowledge of survival techniques are among his most valuable assets, and that we have learned nothing from the war. Finally tired of battling alone against the roving gangs and the repressive rule of the new government, Ben contacts the soldiers and civilians of the resistance forces, leading them to an isolated area of the West. There in tri-states, the threat his vision of America presents to the established order brings to the final outrage. An armed attack by government forces. America itself hangs in the balance, and Raines must win to bring the country out of the ashes. Dun dun dun. Yeah. I kind of wish I had read some reviews online of this book before I jumped into it, or I might not be doing this video now. And I might not have read this book at all. You can kind of see where this review's going to be going. Basically, let me preface this. I like William Johnstone, and I like some of the books his niece has put out, J.A. Johnstone, which supposedly are based on manuscripts he left. That being said, I read a lot of his westerns, and I've read a whole lot of his horror books. I really like his horror books. They're very pulpy. I mean, there's a lot of weird stuff in there, but they're very campy, very 80s. And I kind of figured an End of the World series would kind of be the same. I figured Out of the Ashes, which is a series of like 36 books, would kind of be like the Deathland series by James Axler, which I believe came out around the same time. You know, very pulpy, very like centered on the action, and just overall kind of fun. This book did not really deliver on that. First off, Ben Raines as the protagonist is a little too unbelievable. He's this Vietnam-era Special Forces soldier who then became a mercenary and then has spent most of his life since then as an alcoholic in Louisiana. And not only does he somehow survive this nuclear apocalypse, in which, in a drunken stupor, does not even realize it's happened, but he is also somehow able to completely be in peak physical shape to, you know, kind of like live, I guess, in this post-apocalyptic world. A world which is very troubling. Once again, this was written in the 80s, and it is very weird. In the way that, like, it doesn't really set Raines up too much as a good guy, especially if you're looking through it through today's lens. I mean, first, right off the bat, for some reason, America immediately devolves into, like, a massive race war. And at times, Raines finds himself agreeing with some of the things these, like, neo-Nazis and other things are saying, but he just thinks they're taking it a little too far, which is very troubling when this is supposed to be the hero that's going to build a modern-day utopia. Which is also a troubling aspect of the book. In a lot of post-apocalyptic fiction, the end of the world is a bad thing, and it's brought about around by bad guys. In this, it's actually brought about by guys that Raines knows and he served with. They believe him to be some ultimate libertarian leader and have actually set off these nuclear bombs, and he just doesn't want to lead. So that also kind of makes it hard to see him as a good guy when the end of the world that's been done is, or has been done, because these guys want Raines to reshape America in a more conservative way, which seems like a very aggressive aggressive move. And all that could be forgiven, all the weird political mumbo jumbo that's 95% of this book, if just the action and other stuff had just been better and more believable. Like I said, I love William Johnstone's other books. His westerns are action-packed. They are fun. They're everything I want a pulpy western to be. I was kind of hoping the same for this. I mean, look at this. The cover has this guy running out with like an M16 with like this flaming eagle thing behind him. That's all I wanted. You know, a guy running around shooting raiders and, you know, fighting mutants and all that good stuff like in Fallout. But he doesn't really do that. There are some dust-ups that he gets into, but a lot of it is him just sleeping with every female he comes across and then lying awake afterwards thinking about all their flaws, which is another really weird move for the protagonist, and just in general. And yeah, there's just a lot. And also, for some reason, all the bad guys in the book just go around sexually assaulting people. Like, that's also talked about in detail, graphically, throughout this book. And like I said, there is 36 books. So I went up and looked reviews to see if they get better. And according to the reviews that I read, they do not. And almost all of it kind of reads like political mumbo jumbo and with a large smattering of torture porn, which is not really, once again, what I'm looking for in an end-of-the-world novel. There's not really much else I can say about this. I did not really like this book at all. I tried to stick with it because some of the early action scenes were interesting, but so much of it is devoted to Raines's idea of a perfect utopia in which, you know, rock and roll music and the arts and a bunch of other stuff that makes civilization don't exist because it gets in the way of man's true potential. It's something. Yeah, and it's weird. I mean, these books obviously had a big enough following at the time because, I mean, between 1983 and 1993, 36 books were released. That being said, his niece has followed up most of his other series. She has not picked this series back up at all, and there are no spinoff series of it that I'm aware of. So it does seem like this is one series that the publisher and his niece are not interested in bringing back for a probably understandable reason. I think the series ended with The Last Rebel, which, I don't know, I couldn't tell you what it's about because once again, it's book 36, but yeah, I'll be honest, I can't really recommend this book. I think if you're looking for a good post-apocalyptic series with a whole lot of entries that'll keep you reading for a while, just go track down copies of The Deathlands by James Axler, which I think was maybe a house name, not 100% sure on that. But I very much enjoyed The Deathlands. There's a lot of action, there's mutants, there's other weird creatures. Some of it's horror, some of it's more fantasy, some of it's more science fiction. But there's a lot to read there. And it doesn't read like 400 pages of a political manifesto that's been published on Reddit, which sadly a lot of this book does. And it's really kind of disappointing. Like I said, I do like a lot of William Johnstone's books, and I'm really hoping these aren't all his political views or his own personal views, and that, because some of them were very dodgy. I, for one, like rock and roll and other things. So, you know, it is what it is. I'm going to keep reading his westerns, and I'm going to keep reading his horror. I will completely tap out, though, of his post-apocalyptic novels. So, yeah. Thank you for watching. As always, I am sorry that I cannot recommend this book, so if you were looking forward to reading it, yeah, I would say find something else or go online. I mean, all you have to do is check the Goodreads reviews or read what the Paperback Warrior wrote about it. I mean, it doesn't really have a lot of modern day fans. a quick look at YouTube. I didn't even see any other videos that reviewed it. Yeah, this is not a book that's going to stick around on my shelf, that's for sure. But if you liked this review or like this video, as always, please like and subscribe. And if you think I'm reading this book the wrong way or the series does get better, please let me know in the comments, because I'm not super close-minded. I'm willing to give books another chance. You know, if maybe the first 5 books were just bad, I need to start with book 6, then let me know. But like I said, from what I've seen so far and reading other people's reviews online, even reviews dating back to the 80s and 90s, it doesn't seem like the series gets better in a way that I want to read. So, yeah. Thank you for watching this video, and I will see you guys next time.